What is up, ladies and gents? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Rafa Sparza, coming to you with another great installment of Running the Gauntlet, a spin-off of the Grappling Hour where we take the worlds of jiu-jitsu and MMA and merge it with pop culture. And we have a hell of a guest for you today. My man over here, he's taken time away from doing selfies and showing you his recent fitness results to actually chat with us. And we'll talk about him more in a second. Stop, dude. Don't scare the people, dude. If they see how stacked
Sorry.
you are, they're going to get really, really nervous, okay? We'll get to him in just a second, but a couple quick reminders. First and foremost, if you want to support the show, get a shirt like this, or maybe even in this color. Check this out. We got a black version of this. It's got a nice note written by yours truly. You can go on over to grapplinghour.com, or more realistically, rafasparza.com/merch. You can get yourself a shirt that says Grappling Hour or a hoodie in case you compete and you want to stay warm. You can get one of those two things. Shirts are $25. Hoodies are $45. The combination of them together is $60. So t-shirts 25, hoodies 45, combination 60. Save some dollars. So go do that. You can also find us on patreon.com/grappling hour. If you go there and you want to see my interviews 30 days before anybody else, you can go do that. It means the world to me when you guys support the show. So go check that out. We got new interviews with like Adam Bradley, Cody Steele, Liz Mitrovic. We've got some great guests coming up, especially from the local California circuit. We just put one up with a gentleman by the name of Michael Santiago. I did that one on Friday. I've commentated one of his fights, and he came and rolled at my gym, and it was a great session. So I think you'll really enjoy that interview, plus much, much more. So I'm getting in a lot of clips and a lot of love. And yes, we do have an episode of the Bullpen that we are doing tomorrow with Jake Watson and Tim Freeman. So lots of stuff to go. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on our Discord at Grappling Hour. All right, let's get to our guests. How do I say this? You know what's really great is when you work at the PGF and you get to interact with so many different personalities. I found the low-key demeanor of this guest to be so easygoing and so like friendly, but also kind of a savage that it took me a few seconds to kind of get adjusted. And I realize now that camera switch killed this. So give me a second here. I think that'll slowly come back on here. Sorry about that, you guys. But our guest, he was so easygoing and so fun to be around. But what I didn't know was what a great sense of humor he has. And I didn't know that we shared a passion for making fun of people in rap music who probably should be made fun of. And yet, in the time since the PGF, I feel like we've gotten to know him a little bit better. And I said, you know what? He seems like an apt person here to bring on the show. Let's have him take a break from lifting heavy things. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on for the very first time, one, Cam Hurd. Cam, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be on here.
It is. And man, you have the smoothest Southern voice, I think, out of any of our guests thus far in. Like, it is buttery smooth. Like, you have the nice politeness and the savagery that we kind of look for as guests on this show. So I think we should tell the people, though, that you were trying to tell me that you're going to try to beat me up with WWE BJJ moves. And I was like, hey, man, listen, I believe you can beat me up in jiu-jitsu. I don't see that for you, though.
Hey, I've been working on some things behind the scenes a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to add a little bit of flash, a little bit of the nostalgic WWF style
I see.
too. I guess that I want to add into what I'm trying to do to you once I get my hands on you. You know.
Okay, I mean, listen, bro, we'll roll at some point. I'm quite assured of that. We do have a mutual person who has beat both of us up. So John Combs is somebody who I've seen how you had to roll with him, and I was like, I think you have a better shot than I do. And you know, I mean, it's a rough day rolling with that guy. So I've seen some.
I've had handful of matches with him now, and
Mhm.
the injury default I don't count as a victory,
Sure.
but I got a lot of respect for John. He's a tough dude. But yeah, I'm figuring out his game a little bit. I'm trying to, next time we come up, head to head, I'm definitely trying to get one because I got 3 to make up. So
That's the worst.
I gotta make up some ground.
I hate when you start realizing you're like, oh man, you always think like, I want to get this one back. I want to go back there. And the weird part is you guys are kind of peers in that world. Like, you're a good competitor. John's an excellent competitor. That makes sense if you guys have matches. John's out here trying to keep score on me. And I'm like, my man, I am the least of your worries. But because he's so competitive, if I even look like I'm going to submit him one day, he's kind of like giving you that stank face, like, I don't even like you, ref. And I go, bro, what are we doing here, man? We're friends. What are you doing to people who you're actively competing against? That's a dick move. Get out of here, man.
He's a good dude. We were roommates at PGF. I got to know him pretty well. We got along really good. You know, he was like easygoing, but also, you know, he's a savage. He's
Yeah.
a really smart dude, and we kind of have similar games. You know, I favor the front headlock and the guillotine, and honestly, he's helped me too. Like, I ran into him at East Coast Trials after. You know, it was over, and I was trying to pull him aside, get like a free private. He helped me out with some details, and you know, it's cool because that's like jujitsu. You know, you trying
Yeah.
to rip each other's heads off one minute, and the next minute you're over in the corner, like, here's how I did it. You know,
I mean, I'll tell you this much. I had FOMO. There was a tournament out in here in LA. Actually, the tournament where the parents were fighting each other, not the adults version. There was a kids version where people were in the stands. But the day before, I had FOMO because I was like, "Damn, dude, I really want to like I wanted to compete, but I wasn't sure if I was going to be traveling or doing work on that day." Once I found out I was open, they closed registration. I go, would have been cool to get out there. I had FOMO to
yeah,
the point where I know the people in my division well enough where I was like following them to see. I was like, well, how'd they do? All right. All right. And one of the dudes saw that I saw him and followed me. And I was like, ooh, yeah, I don't follow you. Shit, now I got to follow you back because you kind of called my bluff here. Yeah, you saw me trying to see if how I saw if you won. All right, we're friends now. So I just enjoy that because that dude, I have also seen now that he saw where I talked about he Honda drove into me and we went through a table ish. Not like a WWE go through a table, but I hit the table and all the stuff fell down.
yeah.
And you know, I've talked about it on the show, and I guess it got back to him, and it just made me laugh because I was like, "Damn, dude, I didn't talk about that until like an hour into the show." So jokes on him. He had to watch my whole episode to get to that part. But
He's
yeah,
watching.
dude.
He's watching. And that's that's
Hey,
that's what
I'll take
matters.
any
Hater
viewer,
or not,
and if they're gonna pay, I'm gonna 100% take that. So we're not at a paid customer yet, but if he's a paid customer, he might end up with a free armbar. I'm just saying. Like he might be like, "Oh shit, did you get me? Oh man, are you subscribed on YouTube? No, just it's Patreon. Oh damn, dude, you caught me. Oh man, that sucks." So that's the usual jokes we go with. I mean, Cam, what have you been up to in the time since? You know, obviously PGF week was an insane week. We saw each other almost literally every single moment of every single day. What has it felt like to get back to a regular routine, and what was it like that week after or so?
it's been refreshing to get back, you know, to somewhat of a normal routine. I definitely took a couple days off, and you know, partly had to make up for the time lost that was with my family. And while I was in Vegas, my wife picked up two Cane Corso puppies. So I've been trying to get them potty trained and also dealing with my two daughters, and my youngest being the absolute more than a handful that she is, takes up most of my time. But, you know, I'm still training damn near every day and kind of getting back into camp for some stuff coming up at the end of June. But, yeah, I mean, it's been nice to kind of take a step back, not worry as much about the diet, focus a little bit on feeling good and lifting weights and trying to look good for pool season, which is upon us right now. So, um, you know, that's been the main focus is just trying to get my abs popping for pool
You know
season.
what? Hey, listen, dude, mission accomplished. You're doing well on that, so good for you. I just like the fact that when you're not hiding around any of what you're trying to do here. You're just like, oh, did you see that shirtless selfie? I mean, I did put it up, and very low body fat. Meanwhile, the rest of us are out here being like, dude, this rash guard makes me look fat. That's what it must be. Oh, dude, I'm not
Hey,
fat. This is a
I
rash
will
guard.
say epic roll rash guards seem to accent your abs and your midsection and your chest and shoulders. It makes you look better. So if you want to shop on Epic Roll and use code CAM20 for 20% off, you'll look better in your post after bat. You know, whether you do the shaka or the point or the fist or whatever the pose is, if the rash guard says Epic Roll, you're probably going to look a little
Which is
better.
the one you pick most often?
Honestly, I've been rock. I snagged one of the Black Rifle Coffee from
Oh, nice.
PGF. That's jersey swapped with some of the guys, and that one it's just the camo, the UFC Fight Pass logo, the epic roll. Like it's a tough rash guard. So
Well, I
that's been
was
my
asking
go-to.
which pose you went for, but you know what? You
Oh,
did bring up something. Uh, so I saw you. Were you on a stage with that rash guard? Like, where were you on that? Because I started seeing how like Keelan is touring with you know Zoltan
Zo.
and all of those guys. So I'm like, wait, did you get on a stage and do jujitsu too? Because is everybody doing this but me? Like, what? Where were you that had that great backdrop?
Actually, that is the AI that's available on Instagram. I took a
Mm.
picture with some guys today from training, Matt and Saeed, and yeah, you can add a backdrop using artificial intelligence. I just typed in USA to try to get some. Honestly, though, it took me like 30 minutes of refreshing the backgrounds because it was like, this is shit, this is shit, this is shit. Why is AI not better yet? But yeah, we finally found that one. And I was like, all right, this will do. So I posted it, and yeah, it
You know,
looks like we're in some kind of stadium.
it really like it did, and it made me just go like, listen, dude, I don't know what everybody's up to. As far as I know, you could have done something similar to Zoltan. Like we may have another musician that's like, oh hey man, come do some jujitsu rounds on the stage before we leave. And I just thought, I was like, what is this and where is he? And I know he didn't go today because we wouldn't be doing this today if that was the case. But
If
I thought about it, I go, well, it still looks cool, so good for you.
Thank you. If Zoltan wants to put me like as like an intermission show for a super fight on one of his tour shows, I would be happy because I
Well, you
get to
know,
hear 5 minutes punch and do some jujitsu. That'd be great.
well, closed mouths don't get fed. So I'm saying, listen, this is the age of just call your shot. Like I used to be of the mindset a long time ago where I was like, hey man, I really hope that if you value my work and you really like what I do, you'll give me a call. And then I found like nobody was calling. And I was like, wait, no, I'm very good at what I do. Fuck these guys. Because I'd look and see who would get the opportunities. And I was like, you know what? From now on, everybody just gets told what I'm going to do. Literally, when Craig Jones is putting up all this stuff, I'm like, I want the pre and post show, not hiding it. No one else should have it. I should have it. Give it to me.
Yeah,
I'll make a good show. And I'm like, I get that Craig has some other things to do, but I'm just going to say if they're looking for petty spite stories to be a prerequisite to be a part of their team, oh, I've got them. So I'm good too. So uh, just
put it
saying,
out there, bro.
give me a call, brother. So, and I'm sure you would not at all turn down an opportunity to be like, I'm sorry, what am I grappling for? Is a
Hey,
$1 million? Yeah, I'm there on Tuesday whenever you need me.
that money is serious. That's what I mean. It's turning into a real pro sport, and money talks more than anything in everything, every sport, every profession. Money talks.
So you know what I did, and we'll go more into that tomorrow because I'm gonna go down the list of arguments I'm seeing online. But yesterday I went out with my wife and I went out with one of our couple friends, and we were just having dinner, and I didn't want to hijack the conversation, but I was with two very smart sports centric people. And I just said, hey, you don't follow any of this. Can I just tell you what's happening? The insanity that's happening in my sport. And they're like, sure. So to these two civilians, I tell them all about Craig Jones's Invitational. And they're asking real questions like, why would anybody have a problem with that? And I go, well, there's a lot of loyalty. And they literally told me, they're like, fuck that, make your money. And I go, well, see,
Yeah,
that's where a lot of us think, but then people may actually hold it against you. And they're like, fuck them, make your money. And I go, okay. And one of my favorite moments is one of them works in entertainment. So she goes, where's it being distributed? And I go, oh, it's going to be on YouTube. She goes, hmm, perfect. I love this. I love this Spite tournament. And she's asking me question after question about it. And I go, oh, that's funny you asked that. This person dropped out and this person dropped out. And they go, she's just like, I'm such a fan. And when is it? I go, kind of the same couple days. And she goes, oh, I'm a fan. Yeah, I'm going to look this up today. And I go, if you could bring this to civilians, it will reaffirm your idea that none of this is insane. Because in the NBA, if LeBron got a better deal, as much as I love the Lakers, I'd be like, well, LeBron James is no longer my best friend. I wish him well. Thank you for his championship. Go do what you need to do, but I hate you again, LeBron. So there you have it. But yeah, I mean, it's just the way sports goes.
it is. Yeah, I mean, money talks. That's what drives every professional sport, right? I mean, there's no one like Other than maybe if you go back to like the Michael Jordan days and all this loyalty stuff, but like even at a certain point, everybody's got a price, and especially in a sport that has no money in it. So, or up until the recent years.
Well,
So,
that's my
you throw
favorite.
money at guys that have been broke grapplers for a long time, then they're all going to jump at it. And it's only going to help grow the sport. I mean, honestly, I was talking to some guys at Open Mat today about it, and I was like, it's good for the sport. It's like a rap beef. It's making everyone step their shit up a little bit more on both sides.
I'll say this.
So,
I before like my final preview for tomorrow's argument is we are seeing some true ass Catholic guilt being sent some way. Like I know exactly all these things. This is like the shit your mom would tell you. It's like you better not, and you're like that has no logical reason. You're just using the mom argument on me. And then
yeah,
they come back a little bit later, and you go, okay, well they're gonna pay me more. Oh, so that's how it is. You're gonna go with them, huh? Yeah, because they're gonna pay me more. Yeah, okay. Well, I've only given birth to you, and you go, oh my, okay, listen, like I just want to go make money. Like, wouldn't you just raise your money? And if you did, maybe wouldn't that solve some of the problems? So a lot of this is stuff that I am familiar with, but could have been avoided. And guess what?
yeah,
They didn't. So as a result, you create your own competition and probably good for the sport. Anyway, I'll get more into that with the bullpen tomorrow. I'll have two different boys who will be joining us. We got Jake Watson and Tim Freeman, who were very, very familiar to all of us at the PGF, and very happy to have them back tomorrow when we go through that stuff. But I don't want to get you implicated because who knows? At this point, maybe you get a call, maybe anybody gets a call. It's just everybody needs to be neutral and say, I'll go wherever I get my shot is. So I'm very stoked for that. Cam,
absolutely.
I want to bring this up to you. There are 6 topics on the board. You know one of them. Are you nervous
Yes.
about any of those topics?
Ahoy and Shock have got me a little bit of intrigue.
Okay. Okay.
Intrigue.
Intrigued, but you didn't say scared. So I'll give you that. I like the fact that you know that words can't hurt you. You can pull through. You can make arguments here. So we're going to put you to the
Yeah.
test. The way this works is very simple. You're going to pick one of these to start with. You're going to have 60 seconds to respond as soon as I finish reading the prompt. When I read the prompt to you, you have to give us a hot take. You have to give us your best argument to whatever the question is answering or whatever it is that the question is prompting you to talk about. So, are you ready to start? And where would you like to start, sir?
I am ready. Let's go ahead and start with Ahoy.
Ahoy, it is. Cam, you recently put up a poll pitting Chewy Chips Ahoy and original Chips Ahoy. Please reveal the results and make a case for which one you prefer.
Well, I'll start off and just say that I prefer Chewy. I know that might piss some people off, and I understand. But if you are pissed off by that, you have poor taste. And the final result was 41 to 37, 53% to 47% preferred Chewy. So that just encourages me that people actually understand good cookies, the gooiness of the soft cookie in the milk. Just like I get it, the dry cookie absorbs the milk, blah blah blah. If you're gonna crumble it up, put it in a bowl and make a bowl of cereal with it, great. If not, Chewy's the way to go. But I will say Oreos beat all of the Chips Ahoy
Whoa,
heads.
hold up. You can't. No. You can't. Hold up. You introduced something new at like. This is how I know you guys don't know regular debate. Like, if you bring up something like that at the end and you're like, I just want to point out, we did this poll. It was very scientific. It was very important. However, I must say, Oreos for life. I'm out. It's like, bro, you can't introduce a new thing. This was your poll. You did this.
Hey, I have done a poll previously: Oreos versus Chips Ahoy. Oreos won.
Okay.
Not
See,
quite as close as the Chewy versus original.
but
So
here's
I
the
will say,
thing. I think I'll get into my argument here in a second. But what prompted this? What prompted you to put this up? Because I thought, yo, in this modern version of the internet, that is a dangerous thing to put up there, sir, because if you say I like apples, somebody's going to be like, what about oranges? Like when you put up stuff like that, I thought you're inviting something. So I figured something at home with the kids or that you got into a debate with somebody. So where did all of this come from?
it started with my wife. I had to prove a point that original is just not it. And she disagreed, and we took it to the people, and the people spoke. The people said chewy, and she's not happy about it. She's upstairs eating classic or original, whatever that crap is right now. And you know what's funny? The chewy, we bought the chewy after she bought the original. The chewies are gone. I probably ate 90% of them, but still, other people in the house contributed, and the chewy went much faster than the original. You know,
I love.
just
Okay, so it's not even that you're in the process of telling us that there was a hotly contested debate, but there was a something that was happening in your own household in real time where people were eating them, and you were still like, "Well, this is a shame, guys. Dad's gotta go real quick. He's got some business." And they're like, "Are you taking the cookies? Dad has to do dad shit. It's a man thing. Y'all want to understand? I gotta go to the garage. I'll see you guys in 5 minutes. Goodbye."
exactly. That's exactly what it was. You know,
It makes
dad
me
is
so
just
it makes me so
stuffing
happy.
cookies.
Let me do this though. I have to give you my response because yeah, I'll walk through this. I had a different response, I think, prepackaged, but I think I can manage with this. So the prompt was Ahoy. You were telling us that you had picked the Chewy Ahoys, which I feel that's the right response. My question for you is this, Cam Hurd. Why are you pretending to be a cool person? No, listen, I know what the prompt is supposed to be, but maybe you understand where I'm going with this. Cam Hurd, you don't have enough body fat to have the ability to weigh in on this issue. You know what it is? The rest of us who have actual stomachs, that's where you get the realness from. So when you come in and you do what I call the fitness version of trying to hang out with people, like, hey, what'd you guys eat this week? It's like, shut the fuck up, dude. You had rice and chicken. You don't get to talk to us. So when you come in and you start being like, which cookie is better? I was like, I need proof that you are eating cookies, sir, because all you're putting up is the I'm ready for the summer posts. And the rest of us are like, you can't possibly eat those cookies and still be in shape. And if you are doing it, that is what's wrong with America. So I need you to understand from one actual fat kid to a fake fat kid. How dare you, sir?
All right. Well, I don't like to hurt people's feelings, so I don't really share all the junk that I eat because I've been blessed with a very good metabolism. But going forward, I will record the 5 to 6 cookies that I eat every night before bed,
Thank you.
and I will share them. And then the next morning, I will post another shirtless selfie of
This is
the
no,
one.
you know what? This is getting hurtful now. You know what it is? Okay, real talk to real talk, because I can tell you what a fat kid does here. After I trained today, I did 2 sessions, came home, I was starving, dude. And you're like, hey, can we start a little bit later? And I was like, absolutely, because fatty got to eat. I had leftovers, a half of a breakfast portion, because I don't tend to eat before I go train. But today, fatty hungry, so I had a little bit of it. And I just don't like stuff in my stomach when I'm going to go train with these monsters. And I came back,
Yeah.
I scarfed all of that down. I was like, I'm still hungry. My wife and my mother-in-law brought churros. They bought like 9 churros, and I
Ooh.
dogged one of those churros. And it was like, this isn't real food. What am I doing this for? And I was like, it's a holiday. That's what it is. I'm justifying it. It's a holiday, dude.
Yep. God bless America.
Yeah, absolutely. But I was thinking about it and I'm like, if this dude is trying to tell us that he's having several cookies, this is the most like meal prepped cookie eating I've ever seen where it's like, well, that is all I can
It's
have.
telling you, man. I'm telling you. My coach even texted me today. He was like, "Send me what you were eating last week." Somebody asked. Like, I'm just going to copy and paste it. I'm like, bro, do not send my diet to anyone because they will be fucked, and then they will hate me. I've been, I'm not trying to brag, but I'm lucky. I'm blessed. I've got. Also, I burn a lot of calories. I chase my 2-year-old daughter around, which takes a lot of calories. I train, 6, 7 days a week, and it's a lot of output. I'm just trying to keep up with the input,
I'm with
and
you. And I believe
I
the
don't want anybody
training
to call their mom off me.
I believe the training part. I even super believe the running around with kids part. I think that's probably where you're getting most of your definition from is having to essentially build like strength off of a considerable amount of dumbbells in the shape of children where you're like, well, oh God, how many tons am I picking you up today? Listen, I have the
Yeah.
lighter version. I have dogs. I have a French bulldog. Sometimes I'm just sitting there literally like, hey, we got to do a squat with this. So sorry, dog. So yeah, I kind of get the dumb version of this. It's just more so I stand by my belief. How dare you? And yes, you have solid metabolism if that's going, but just know if I didn't hate you before, I might have actual reserved hatred for you now based off of this. So, and I like the fact that you'll try and bring up, you're like, hey, I trained. I was like, motherfucker, I trained twice a day. I trained twice a day just to like look this way. It is not fair, sir. So anyway, why don't we go to our next topic?
All right. Let's do why.
Why indeed? All right, sir, to compete at a high level, everyone needs a why, something that drives them to put on all the hard work and reps. I'd like to ask you, what is your why?
Easy answer, my family, my wife, my two daughters, my parents, my brother, my nieces, my mom and dad who've been in my corner wrestling since I was a little kid. Um, they believe in me, and I don't want to prove them wrong more than just prove myself right. I want to prove them right. So they're my why. Also, we'll get into it, I think, a little bit at the end, but I've got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder left over from competing in college. I didn't get to end my career as I really wanted to. So there's some unfinished business and some things still left that I need to prove. And those all go into my why, as well as my psychopath, never happy mindset. It's never enough. So
Fair enough. All right, let's kind of dissect that because you gave us several different jump off points. Obviously, family's good. So, does your family get to see you often compete? I'm sure for PGF they could see you on the internet television, but are they
yeah,
coming with you, or because competing is also grueling and you don't know exactly how many times you're going to do it in a year? I'm pretty sure they're also like, yeah, Dad, go compete. Like that's cool. That you go. We're
yeah.
not going to this one.
No, yeah, we pick out, we're going to go to this one. You're on your own for this one, whatever. My oldest and my wife have traveled with me a good bit to support. Um, it is a lot, sometimes I think they kind of feel guilty. They're like, we want you to be focused. We don't want to take anything away from it. But honestly, I like having them there. It helps me feel motivated and grounded and comfortable. But I think they do watch me on TV as well. If it's on Flow or if it's on YouTube, whatever it is, if it's streamed, they're watching. If it's on UFC Fight Pass, they're watching. So it's a mix. My wife and my oldest have traveled with me a good bit. Once our youngest gets manageable and a little less feral, she'll travel with us as well. But yeah, they're definitely anything that's streamed, my mother-in-law included, and my parents, my mom and my dad. But I say my mother-in-law because I think she's probably, other than my mom and my dad, probably the biggest fan that I have out there. So
Yo, that's great. My mother-in-law told me I talk too much during interviews, so you're winning that race very well. Okay. Now you mentioned a little bit about the college career, and I know that can be debilitating for a lot of people. But when you say that it didn't end the way you wanted to, what specifically does that mean?
So honestly, there was I came on. I wrestled at Virginia Tech. I started my freshman year. My grades weren't that great coming out of high school, so Virginia Tech is not the easiest school to get into, and it's definitely where I wanted to be. But I went to Liberty University my freshman year, and I wrestled. I focused on getting my grades up, and then I transferred to Virginia Tech. So that's my freshman year. Now we get to Virginia Tech, and my first year was supposed to be a redshirt year. Um, I was an invited walk on. I was not highly recruited, and maybe got overlooked a little bit in that first year. And that year being was supposed to be my red shirt. I competed in the Davidson Open, which is down in Charlotte, North Carolina, attached to the university, which means I wore a Virginia Tech singlet. My entry fee and everything was paid for by Virginia Tech, and therefore that washed my whole redshirt year, which I was not aware of until fast forward 3 years going into my senior year, training all summer long, had a very promising season the year before that, just outside of cracking into the NCAA tournament. Excuse me. And yeah, so I got a call 2 weeks before school started, and I was told that there was a mishap with my redshirt year and my eligibility was up. So a very abrupt, unexpected stop to my competition career in wrestling. And yeah, it didn't end how I wanted it. So that's like kind of the chip that's left on my shoulder of still trying to prove that I can be the best in the world.
It's so funny because I had mentioned earlier that I was training with somebody who is a wrestler. So when you were sending me the like, hey man, can we change times? And you were kind of talking a little bit about this because I let the guest always pick one, and you were kind of shooting this at me. I was like, oh, and I read the story to him, and he's just like, as a wrestler, immediately like, damn, bro, and like. To jiu-jitsu people, it's obviously like if you're competitive, they might have a certain feeling. Wrestlers all have a certain brotherhood of, hey man, I did that too, and I know exactly how hard that is. Like that sucks to have that kind of thing happen to you and not have that closure. So when you
Yeah.
are doing it though, has jiu-jitsu provided that outlet so that you can kind of get it back? Has it replaced it in certain ways? Because honestly, I have to tell you, I think the one thing that is so great is when I do watch wrestlers, they do come in with exciting matches. But I do wonder, as somebody who didn't wrestle when I was in high school or in college, that there has to be a little more satisfactory feeling knowing that you can choke a motherfucker out. Like there has to be
Oh
just
yeah.
maybe that little bit extra that maybe even though it's intense with wrestling, like it's kind of the definitive part here. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've since getting into my jiu-jitsu career, I have described jiu-jitsu as wrestling 2.0 for me. It's
Mm-hmm.
like where I picked up where I left off, and I had so much more to learn. It was like, and also it's such a more practical martial art than wrestling. Like if you get in a street fight, you're not going to try to hold someone on there at a 45-degree angle to get back points for 3 seconds. Like I'm going to try to choke you, break your limbs. And so that's for me, it's just like, it's not just sport. It's also practical self-defense, confidence that in a situation, which I hope never comes around, I can handle myself. And wrestling gives you that. If you can take someone from their feet to their back, that's obviously good. But now what? Now you're on the ground. If you take a jiu-jitsu brown or black belt to their back, you might be fucked. But if you know jiu-jitsu and you also know wrestling, then obviously you're in a good spot.
I
So
want to give
yeah, I think
you.
wrestling
Oh,
is great foundation, but
mhm.
jiu-jitsu is the addition that has really taken it to a new level.
I want to give you something that I feel like you'll be able to pull off that I do to some of our guys who are either wrestlers or if I know they're competing, I might do this to them. But we'll do what we refer to as a gimmick pin, and it's a pro wrestling pin that if I get to side control, I'll literally hold them, cradle the leg, and start counting with like my foot or something, and watch
Yeah.
the people without even announcing it who will kick out at 2.5. Like for whatever reason, the competitive gene kicks in, and they're just like under no circumstances. So I will literally sacrifice the world's best submissions just to be like, I mean, this is just funny to me. And when they asked, they're like, why are you doing it? I was like, so you'll move. I don't want
Yeah.
to have your back on there like that. Like, dude, I get it. I'm very similar. I'm a different game than these guys are. I'm like, you need to be fast or you need to be able to do things. I'm like, half the time, I don't need to do shit. And I'm going to catch you better than you're going to catch me. That's just what I do. But I've
Hmm.
finessed that for me. I was like, but for you guys, if you're on your back and you're competing, it's not the best. So it just gets them to be a
No.
little bit more active. But I feel like you, as somebody who has wrestled and who has watched pro wrestling and who's pretty good at jiu-jitsu, I just watch what happens at your gym when you start doing it.
Oh yeah. I mean, we get wrestlers come in all the time, and it's just so fun because it's like, oh, this is like a bronco. You just get like a cowboy getting to break a bronco that has no idea what's coming. And so yeah, I enjoy it, and I mean, myself included. When I first started jujitsu, someone take me down or get close to getting a takedown, I would fight like hell just to not give up the points. Whereas now it's like you put me near the mat, I might just start threatening a submission rather than trying to hold
Yeah.
you off of scoring on me. Like, who
Yeah.
cares? I'm going to submit you, and it's over. And I actually, I use that a little bit at East Coast or West Coast trials. I had a guy that had beat me my first year ever doing IBJJF Worlds.
Mm.
He took me down, blast double, choked me out, and I was, as a wrestler, like, this fucking guy took me down. Da, da, da. And then I get another shot at him, and I'm like, I know I can take this dude down, or I can go out there, pull guard, and submit him under a minute, which is what I did. So it's like, swallow your pride. Wrestling doesn't really matter if you get your arm raised.
To be fair, one of the guys who I was doing the gimmick pin to was our previous wrestling coach, and he would say this that made me laugh so hard. If I was doing the like 1, 2, 3, and then he would do this every time. He goes, "Doesn't count," and I go, "Well, then why are you saying that?" And it was so funny because he's like, "Well, we're doing jiu-jitsu right now," and I go, "Absolutely are, but like, doesn't your brain make it count? You're just telling
Yeah.
me it doesn't count, but you say it every single time. If it didn't count, you wouldn't give a shit." And he just started laughing at it. So he started doing it to me, and he's like, "You're surprisingly not going to let me do this to you." And I go, "Yeah, man, I'll be on my back, but I mean, if it's a game and we're doing this, it's good for me too. So I'm not just doing it just to be a dick. I'm like, people can do it to me too." So
Yeah.
it is something very funny that his brain, in a similar way, even when we're just wrestling or rolling, had that same vibe. So I'm like, it never leaves you, dude. But it is obviously proven to be very good. It's just a matter of what strategy is going to work best for you. So very cool of you to share that, man. And I'm glad that you're able to kind of get this back doing this. I know it's an intense story. I know sometimes when you don't finish the right way, just it can haunt you and it can stay with it. But it looks like you've really manifested it well. And I think it showed, especially as you mentioned for the trials process. Like, you really stood out there. And I feel like a lot of that has to do with your wrestling upbringing. Like, you just looked like you were ready to kind of run through a fucking brick wall. And I thought, well, that explains why. So, yeah, I guess that's that. So, all right, sir, why don't we go
Yeah.
to our next topic? Where would you like to go next?
Let's do light.
Light it is. On your Instagram stories, you often show that you'll drink Miller Lite. I want you to defend this beer choice and let us know when you'll start actually drinking real beers.
Well, Miller Lite, if you'd like to sponsor me, be my fucking guest. I mean, Miller Lite, the flavor, the calories, it's just, for me, it's refreshing. Like, I came home from open mat on Friday and Saturday. I had a couple shower beers, and it just hits. It's refreshing. It's crisp, and you can just drink them. Like, my dad and my brother and my uncle, some of these guys are like craft beer dudes, and I get it. There's some flavor and stuff in there, but I can't sit outside and drink 13 IPAs. Not that I would drink 13 Miller Lights every day, but on Memorial Day, I'm trying to have a couple beers and times that by 5 or 6, and Miller Lights the go-to.
Let's discuss this. We're going to break this down a little bit. As an actual beer guy, this takes a few minutes for me to process. Listen, dude, I get it. Your Mr. Jupiter physique doesn't allow you to be a real person and drink real beer and enjoy things. So you have to choose the daintiest of calories. So that's fine. Listen, it's your business. You did say, however, a shower beer. Can you please describe why you cannot wait the 10 to 15 minutes at max most people take for most showers to just chill and wait to have the beer after that? Maybe even have it ready on the counter as soon as you're done and ready to go.
I mean, if you're gonna give me, if I can only drink one beer, I'm gonna drink it in the shower. Like, the contrast of the hot water and the cold beer and the sweat coming off the bottle or the can. I'll turn that 15-minute shower into a 30-minute shower and just enjoy that beer, because life is short. You got to enjoy it. And I think an ice cold Miller Lite in a nice warm shower after a hard open mat, it's hard to beat. Again, I mean, it's also a beautiful bottle and label.
It's
Like,
all right. It's all right. You know, listen, dude, I saw you put up the photo of the beer in the shower, and I thought, okay, I'll let this pass. I kind of get what you're doing here, but you're telling me this is a regular occurrence and almost like
it's
a
not regular. I don't actually drink very often. I will
sure.
say Memorial Day weekend has, I've enjoyed quite a few beverages. And if honestly I drink, I don't really drink as much beer as I do bourbon. Um,
Okay.
at the end of the day, I like to have a nice glass of bourbon, chill out, watch a TV show before bed. Um, but yeah, I mean, I enjoy beer, but especially trying to watch my weight and stuff, I don't drink as much beer as I used to. Um, it's it's more bourbon than anything if I'm drinking at all. But
Okay.
hey, the next PGF season is 205, so I got to put on some weight.
My man's sitting there just being like, I got work to do. Oh God. How much? Well, no, no. This is for the tournament. It's not just for. Oh.
It's
I,
for weight purposes,
I
you
would
know.
really love if you extrapolate what we've learned a little bit earlier too. If you are doing this, it's like it's for my family, man. I gotta gain weight so I can get another crack at this money, so I can provide for more. Mm-mm.
Hey,
Isn't just for me;
got to
it's for all of us.
put food on the table one way or another. Um, and if
I
that
would
means
say
I got to
this.
put on some weight,
It is kind of weird because you're about my height and you're going with people like John Combs, who's taller. So like when I see somebody like you, I'm like, hey man, I don't know, 205 is a tough beast. You're gonna be a roly poly compared to some of those beasts that are gonna be in there. So it's not out of the woods yet. But I mean, have you been like what's the heaviest you've ever been?
heaviest I've ever been is probably like 198. Honestly, I've never been above
Um,
200. I did 88 kilos at East Coast Trials, and I did medium heavy at Worlds last year at IBJJF Worlds. Um, I mean, I'll be honest. After those tournaments, I was like, yeah, 175 really suits me.
mm,
I feel like a man amongst boys at 175 most times. As far as strength goes, I definitely am not giving up as much height and length.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, 205, I think I'll be at a deficit, obviously, as my frame is not normally in the 200s. And even if if I'm on the season 7 doing 205, I don't think I'm going to strive to weigh in at 205. My optimal weight, I think, is around 185, where I really feel like strong and I'm not giving up any speed or my lungs aren't collapsing on top of me. Um, and I train with guys 220 on the regular, black belts that are 220. And one of our other wrestling coaches, he's a blue belt, probably not for much longer. He's a tough son of a bitch, and he's easily 220, 230. And I'm training with him on a regular basis as well. So the heavier weight I'm used to, I don't think I have to match that weight to compete at that weight. I think that I can, as long as I feel good and I'm strong enough to hang in there and not be overpowered, then I'll hang with anybody at 205.
So this would then assume the fact that you have put your bid in for 205, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, PGF is the future, in my
Absolutely.
opinion.
Yeah, no, I love to hear that. I mean, listen, dude,
If
I,
I
I
can
would,
get in at 205, if I can get in at 175, 185, 190, whatever it is, if I can make it and be realistic, then I'm in there.
my man's all doing the machinist Christian Bale cut to be like 145. We can, oh man. I don't want to do this. This is not fun. Like, no, I mean, I could see you definitely making all those different weight classes, and it's going to depend on where they go. But the 205 one, I was like, damn, it's going to be fun to watch some of these guys kind of go, I want to do that one too. So, yeah, dude, I mean,
Yeah,
listen, we loved having you out there. I'd love to see you back. I have no other power other than to say, yeah, you should be back. And that would be really dope to see that different hurdle. And you're right, because cutting would be, or not cutting, but gaining weight and mass would be interesting, but you do have a good size and speed that you're used to here, and that could provide a nice little clash for different matchups that they would have. So I think it's all in the ballpark, dude. Why the hell not?
yeah. I mean, like I was mentioning earlier, my strength and conditioning coach, I just tell him what I want. He'll come up with the recipe, and we'll get there. And I'll
Yeah,
be, in tip top shape wherever whatever the weight is. He'll
yeah.
he'll
Shout
figure
out
out a
that
way.
dude.
Nova Barbell, Asim, my coach. Right now he's throwing out all kinds of insane offers where $50 a month you can sign up. You can do it remotely. Well, obviously, we're in Northern Virginia, so if you're here, pull up to the new gym. He's got a new location It is super dope. It's got great lighting for selfies if you're really into that. But also, you got good people to hang out with. It's a dog friendly gym. Lots of dogs. It's fun to be there. He knows what the hell he's talking about. If you're not in Virginia, join. He'll send you a program. You'll talk about your goals. He's got some cutouts that you can work with. $50 a month, change your fucking life.
Dude, that's a great rate. I didn't even get the chance to sell you or tell you this off air, but I was like, dude, I was paying that per session with one of my guys, and he's a homie,
Yeah,
so I'm like, I have no problem paying him. It's just
yeah.
in LA and in all of our area out this way. It's like, dude, why? You know, when I send the message to you, why is no, like, why would you do this? You would do this. This should be there, and you should be the reference. It's just like, oh, have you seen my body? Look at this. And people go like, yeah, I kind of want to look like that. That'd be cool. How much is that? And you're like $50 per, per the month, and it's like, I'm sorry, what?
Who's
Like
not?
the whole month?
Yeah, come on. I mean, yeah, it's. I mean, I've obviously got my own testimony, but there's person after person who are reaching their goals. You know, a month in, they're down 16 pounds, whatever it is. I mean, it's the work speaks for itself. So follow me on Instagram, follow Asim on Instagram, Nova Barbell. You'll see the results. If you would like to sign up, hit me up, use my link, and get started.
Well, I may have to do that because we're getting too many people on steroids at this point, and this shit's fucking too difficult. Like, bro, half the time when you're rolling with somebody on gear, you're like, what are we doing here? This isn't even like a fair fight. Like now I'm going up against you in whatever cycle you're on. This shit sucks. So definitely looking at that in the future. All right, man. Let's go where we're going next. Where would you like to go?
Secret.
Secret it is. You seem like an avid griller. What is the secret to a great grill, sir?
It's got to be wood fired, I think. I might be a little biased, but the wood flavor from the pellets or whatever grill you have, whether I have Traeger, so I'm a little partial to Traeger, but you know, Pit Boss, there's a bunch of other good grills out there. Patience, the prep is important. Um, and then just you got to have a Miller Lite, obviously, while you're grilling. And that just makes the time go by. You're outside, you're enjoying yourself, makes the food taste a little bit better. But yeah, I think wood fired grill, whether it be the electric pellet grill or whatever it is, just adds that extra flavor. And you know, I think the beef tenderloin's my favorite. So if you've had my beef tenderloin, you'd agree.
Well, I have not. So you need to correct that. And number two, I should point this out to you. When I see you grilling like that, I can't promise you this won't happen, but I can tell you I do feel the need to report you. And here's why. I feel the need to take away your Instagram. So I feel like I should report you because it looks too good and I can't eat it. And then when I start seeing that, it's influencing what I want from food. And I live far away from you. So when that happens, sometimes you're 3 hours ahead. So I'm like, I'm not even feeling dinner yet. And this MFer is showing me the inside of his grill. And today, what did you make today? Was that what you made, the beef tenderloin? Is that what you made today? Or what did you make
They
today?
was just burgers and hot dogs, nothing fancy. But again, your burger and hot dog on a wood pellet grill is not your average burger and hot dog. It's far better. And if you haven't had it, try it out because you'll be very surprised and you'll never be able to go back. I mean, we have a gas grill on the deck, hasn't been used in probably a year. Like
Wow.
it's just scrap metal at this point.
It's just, it looks good. So I compliments to the chef. But then I had this moment where I realized I was like, his kids must be so lucky because I don't know if you know this. So my dad, he was an army cook. And when you think about that, and he would start barbecuing ribs for us, I thought they were terrible as a kid. And I got so angry that when I think one year I was like 6 years old, I told him, I was like, hey, Dad, can I go to our neighbor's house? He's like, yeah, of course. So go to my neighbor's house. We're sitting there, we're eating. And my dad comes over and he's like, oh, Raphael doesn't like ribs. And my neighbor goes, he likes my ribs. And all of a sudden, my dad's like, "We told me he didn't like ribs," and he's like, asking me, he's like, "Why don't you eat my ribs?" And I go, "Dad, you cook them so badly; they are burned. You are charring them too much." Like I didn't know shit as a kid, but I knew they were terrible. My dad got so in his feels that he was like, "All right." He goes to my neighbor. He's like, "Show me how you do yours." He did, and he modified it, but then he got so much better. And it was like, dude, if I didn't raise a stink as a kid like that, I would have eaten garbage. And the reason why, I went up to my dad, I was like, "Dad, I thought you were an army cook. Like, how did this happen?" He goes, "You think they had good food in the army? You think we were making 5-star meals for these guys there?" And I go, "Oh, well, you know what? That checks out. That's why it
Yeah,
was so bad. You were one of the guys who was contributing bad food in the army." So
that makes
we
sense.
joked about
Yeah,
that very harshly.
that's funny. I mean, yeah, my kids, funny enough, they don't eat half the shit I cook. So
Oh no, no!
they
I
are
didn't.
so big. Like they eat, it's pizza, quesadillas, bagel bites. I'm just trying to get nutrients in them at this point. It's mainly for me and my wife and anybody else that's over for grilling out. They're missing out. I keep trying to tell them one of these days they'll come around. But yeah, it's it's a shame. They don't know what they're missing. Not yet,
Listen,
anyway.
listen, dude. I can't have it. I'm angry. I'm over here back in Los Angeles and I'm getting angry as I look at it. And I just go, there was a day, I think you put up something, I know what it was, but I almost had something on Postmates that was an obnoxious amount of price to pay for barbecue here in Los Angeles. And I was like, it's not even the best barbecue. But I was looking at the price and I go, I can't make this right now. I don't have the time. But I also don't want to buy this one. I want whatever I'm seeing on my Instagram, this dick, this dude, Cam Hurd. He and I, like, you know what the worst part is? And I promise you this, we get along too well. But if I just ever threw hands with you on site, that's what it's for. It's for no other reason other than being like, "Bro, I'm so sorry. This is how it's got to go down." You're like, "What's wrong? Oh, wait, why are you hitting me?" And I'd be like, "Dude, you can't be doing that shit to me. It's just raising my blood pressure here because I can't eat that food." So I hope you understand. That's the one reason I will literally throw a punch at your face.
And I honestly, I hope I get to cook for you one day. I hope whether it's out there in LA or you're on the East Coast, if you're ever out here, I will absolutely fire up my Traeger and I will cook you my best beef tenderloin. If I'm out on the West Coast, if I've got the means to do so, I will be happy
We
to
will
grill out.
find the means to do so. I will make sure of it. You know what we'll do? We'll do because we also do a segment on the show. It's called an interbrew. So normally I do it with a guest. We go to a bar. We basically get 4 different beers that we sample throughout, and it's kind of cool because you can ask me questions as well, and we kind of go back and forth. So we usually talk about whatever's topical for half of it. Do beer tasting for the other one. This might be a good flip on that one where we'd have you kind of like grilling and we do part of the interview like that as we're waiting for the
Oh
stuff
yeah,
to go. So I'll put that one down on the
sounds
list
great.
because yesterday when I was going through the different shows that I do, I was like, wow, there's Running the Gauntlet. It's like kind of like a game show. There's the Bullpen, which is kind of like an ESPN show. Then there's my interviews. Then I do a fight companion. I was like, she looks at me because she works in distribution. She goes, "So you have every type of show." I was like, "I'm ready when I pitch to be like, oh, you don't like that? I got a cooking show. Yeah, I got a cooking show too. My boy's gonna grill, and we're gonna have fun conversations. I'll figure out the format later. Oh, you don't like that one? How about this? How about I'll go. Oh, one of the good ones that we do, and actually I should bring these back. We do a segment on the show where I give the guest a submission card, and they have 2 minutes to hit that submission on me. Now,
Oh,
we should probably discuss this because normally that 2 minutes is for black belts. Am I under the understanding that you are still a purple belt, sir?
still a purple belt, yes
Okay.
sir.
How long have
I've
you
only
been
been
a purple belt?
I got my purple belt in December of 2022.
Okay.
So a little over a year. Been a
Okay.
purple belt.
Okay.
I started grappling in 2020. So grappling in total for actually was June 2020 when I started. So almost 4 years total in the game in jujitsu. But yeah, then purple belt since December 2022 after I won my IBJJF Nogi Worlds at Blue Belt Master 1. And then I dropped to adult because I realized that I want to be the best and I don't just want to be the best in the old guy division.
Yeah, no, you go somewhere else, dude. Old people aren't trying to roll with you right now. Like you come back once you stop lifting some weights, and then at that point we can bring you back in. There are some people like if you start thinking about it when you're like, wait, JT Torres is in like a master almost two now. Like where is he? Like I want that dude as far away as possible from me at all times. And I
Yeah.
start thinking about it, and I'm like, wait, these guys are masters now. This sucks, dude. And in some divisions, I recently told a story a couple times, but I went to a Naga and they were just like, "Hey man, we bumped you down." I was like, "What'd you do?" And they didn't even tell you; they just kind of see it on the thing. And I was like, "Well, I was in the plus 40 division and the plus 30 division because I wanted an extra match. There was one guy in the
Yeah.
plus 30. The dude dropped out, and then all of a sudden I'm an adult, and I go, you know what? I don't feel like this. I'm sorry, dude. I'm not
Yeah.
doing this." And they're like, "Oh yeah, no big deal. There's only like three people in the division. Like just do it." And I go, I don't really want to. One of the guys is an MMA fighter who fights for LFA. I have no business rolling with that guy. Like that dude's a legit fucking G, and I'm not gonna do it. I went up to a friend, actually Mike John of all people, and Mike John's like, "You're gonna take the match?" I was like, "No. What the fuck's wrong with you? Why would I take that?" And he goes, "I don't know, man. You said you wanted to interview him," and I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Probably give you the interview if you fucking do the match." And I go,
Yeah.
"Eh."
Definitely.
I was like, "You're not
Yeah.
wrong, but like, I shouldn't have to do matches with people I have no business rolling with to get those interviews." So I go over to the referee and I say, "Hey man, I'm not gonna do the match. Thank you though." And he goes, "All right, man, you sure?" And I was like, "Yep." "You sure?" "Mm-hmm." Hit me with a third, "You sure?" And he was like, "You sure?" And I go, "There's a lot of judgment in that, dude. I don't need.
Yeah.
Fuck it, we ball." And I went, and it was terrible. But that dude, that ref, ended up sending me a message afterwards, and he was like, "I had no idea that it wasn't one MMA fighter; it was two MMA fighters we had you up against.
Ooh,
I
yeah.
have a lot of respect for you, dude." And I was like, "Yeah, that's cool. I didn't get hurt. Nobody cried or anything. It's just." You just know they're tough
Yeah.
matches, and I go, and then I have to go fight old people too. So it wasn't just like my one and done. It was like, oh, this is an addition. I'm gonna get
So much
mauled, and then I
easier.
got to go piece it together and win other shit. And it is very difficult at that point.
Yeah. Well, good for you for taking those fights, man. That's awesome.
There's no hero in this. This is legitimately just that dude shamed me, and I was like, I don't have to take this, sir. And then all of a
I'm
sudden,
not
like
gonna.
that third you do, it was like, my man's calling me out. All right, fine, I'll do it. And then, of course, that dude was spamming nothing but flying attacks on me, and I was just like, wait, what the fuck are you doing? Like, nope. So it was god awful. But the reason why we
Yeah.
laugh about it now is because one of the homies at the gym, it's like a match from 2 months ago. He came up to me. He's like, "Dude, I saw that dude fight. You had a match with him. I saw you on his page." And I was like, "Yes, sir. That's me. That is definitely me." He's
Nice.
like, "Dude, I didn't know you would do that." I was like, "I didn't know I would do it either. So it's a surprise to all of us, sir." And then he just started
Yeah.
laughing. He's like, "Dude," he's like, "I just thought, what a fucking crazy thing that of all people, my guy Raph is that." And I go, "I know, man." And I go, "But you want to know something weird?" He's like, "What's that?" I go, "It's the first submission loss I've ever had." So it was like,
Really
oh yeah. I
nice.
mean, I haven't competed for a long, long time, but like I've competed to the point where I've had a number of matches. That dude's the first dude to submit me, and I was just like, you know what? It's gonna happen at some point. It's good that it's to a guy that's like that fucking good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, dude, I hate. Can I ask for a bathroom break?
Yeah, go do the thing. I'll plug for you in a second. Go do your thing.
You're right.
Yeah, go do your thing. Ladies and gents, our guest here, one Cam Hurd, needed a second. This is a perfect opportunity to tell you guys about the shit that's happening on the show this next week. So we're interviewing Rick Zalita. That's coming up this week as well. So I'll be going on over to our friends over at Matador. What's up, Grayson? We've got friends all the way around joining us. So I appreciate you guys for sticking around. I know it's late, but we had the night off, so I'm able to do this. What's up, Zozier? Checking out some friends who are joining us here. I see Ruben, Fake Philosophy. Oh, Hofgage, good job. Alex Grandy. I see you guys. Thank you so much. The Mac Forever. It's just all yo to you, sir. Unfortunately, these are not popping up on my comment section, so I'm apologizing that I didn't pull some of your comments up a little bit earlier, but I am seeing them now. So thank you guys for watching. We appreciate you guys. Again, go do us a solid. Go support the show. You can go over to patreon.com/grappling hour. You can go to rafasparza.com/merch. You can go to all those different places. They support the show. At rafasparza.com, you can get yourself some t-shirts for Grappling Hour, just like this one or one of the black ones. You can also go get yourself a hoodie. You can do a lot of different stuff there. And then if you go to the Patreon, you can see my interviews 30 days before anybody else. So those are the big things. We also just announced that we're going to do a fight companion over at Mama for UFC 303. So not this weekend's UFC, the next UFC pay-per-view. So very stoked about that one. That's the return for Conor McGregor, and that is going to be June 29th. That'll be coming out at Mama Academy. So very much looking forward to hang out with our friends there. And guys, you know, we're still getting there. What's up, Bougie Gatami? Brian, how are you doing? What's up, Javier Escalante? I'm gonna do waves to you guys because I just saw you here. Yes, today's guest, Cam Hurd, a beast, a solid competitor, somebody who lifts too much stuff. And I see right now, I now realize what sport team that he was supporting. But my man over here has been a great addition. He was recently a beast at the PGF with us, and he was doing a great competition series over at ADCC Trial. So if you are not familiar with him, we've got a few more minutes that we're hanging out, and then we will call it a little bit of an evening, but we do have 2 more topics that we're going to get to before we get them on out. So if you guys have questions, comments, concerns, all of that jazz, you are more than welcome to hit us up in the comment section. But I do see my man has returned back. I do like the fact that he did let me know. He was like, hey, man, not to be alarmed. At first, I was going to be like, hey, man, if you need to cut out, we'll just do one more topic or we'll finish it out. But I saw him. He's like, I need to use the restroom. And he asked like a true parent would, which is, I have to raise my hand, sir. How are we? So.
Yeah, I appreciate that. All these Miller Lights today were just balls floating.
Fair enough. All right, sir. We got 2 topics left. Where would you like to go next?
Phil, let's do weight. Save
All right.
shock for last.
All right, fair enough. As someone who lifts regularly to look better in their selfies, what is the most worthless exercise someone can do at the gym?
Oh, that's a good one, actually. I mean, damn, that's tough. I think personally, I don't like back squats. They don't, for my sport, for my shoulders, for my injuries. I think there's so many other things that you can do to build the strength that you're trying to build with back squats. I'm not knocking them. I think that, you know, they might work for someone's certain goals, but fuck back squats, front squats, deadlifts. There's so many other ways to strengthen your core and your legs without the extra strain on my lower back and my shoulders. So yeah, I gotta say back squats, get them out of here. If I never did another back squat in my life, I'm totally fine with that.
I have to take your word for it because I like to tell people this. One of my homies, he started working with a fitness guy or a nutritionist, if you would, and a weightlifting coach. And this guy has been kind of giving him some insane workouts. And I was like, hey, man, I just want some version of like body weight exercise, some shit that you can give to me. Because I go, when we roll now, because you've been working with him, your brain is not technical, it's just goon. And when you imagine something, you can just make it happen now because you're that much stronger than you were 6 months ago. And I was like, we need to cut the distance. I'm not trying to out strength you. I just need some shit. And he comes back to me and he's like, yeah, dude, he just said, you know, some like push-ups and shit like that. I was like, no, give me an actual program, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna do more push-ups to be able to offset you and mount, you moron. Like, give me a full comprehensive thing. And he just came back to me and he's like, all right, dude, well, I think we're gonna figure out something. I was like, okay, cool. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I want to ask this. And he goes, what's that? I go, are you purposely not giving me a good plan because you want to continue beating me?
It could
Because
be
we
sabotage.
normally are right there and there. And I think that you have actually stopped asking him for giving me programs because you like the fact that for a week or two you were beating me for a change. And he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, I think that's exactly what's happening here. So mysteriously, those programs have stopped coming.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think back squat. Don't waste your time.
Yeah. Well,
If you're a
good to know.
grappler, like at what point is someone on your back and you're trying to squat them? You know, like front squats, deadlifts, and honestly, I think the most important is your core work and your warm up routine. I have found out the hard way when you feel too confident to start skipping your warm up exercises, injuries happen.
Yep.
So take the time, do your warm ups, whatever it is. I mean, for me, it's monster walks with a band. It's bear planks. It's dead bugs, things to activate my core and my lower back. And then from there, once those things get warmed up, I'm game. But if I try to jump right into it, I'm going to have lower back issues. I'm going to have hip tightness and all this crap. So don't skip your warm ups.
Yeah, I've 100% shown up late for like an open mat and just been like, all right, let's just go. And then all of a sudden, like afterwards, I am the oldest person walking off the mats, and I go, oh shit, no, that was a choice.
You get
So
away with it maybe in your 20s, but it's not going to last forever.
absolutely. And I mean, listen, dude, we forget a lot of things. One of which primarily is you're like, wait, you've got dudes who are like 200 pounds on top of you. That pressure is going to only be exacerbated if you didn't do the right things. So be very
Yeah.
smart with your warm-ups, kids.
Yep. I mean, like I said, no back squats unless your legs Luger doing the.
You get the torture rack. That's what you're doing. So wait,
I
we
mean,
should.
if you're doing that, then maybe you should do back squats. I'm not doing that, so I'm not doing
I
back
was
squats.
about to say, do you have a particular finisher that you like? Is there a finishing move that you have liked? And then follow-up question: did you ever try to hit it as a kid? Or I guess even in the gym, because you're goon enough where you could probably pull off some of this shit.
I mean, I guess I could pull off the. The Lex Luger was kind of my thing when I was a kid. I was a fan. Um, Sting was my guy. I like to say Lex Luger was not my favorite. Sting was absolutely my favorite. But Bill Goldberg, the spear, I can definitely pull that off in some open mats. Just straight blast through somebody, Jordan Burroughs style.
That does check out now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Okay. I just realized I was like, when you said it was Sting, we had a short little spat about it. I was like, well, it's a sharpshooter. It's not a Scorpion Deathlock, so we'll just be very clear about that. And one is clearly
Yeah,
better than the other.
I'm not. Sting was more just about the persona. I was a big
Of
fan.
course. I just figured I was like, yo, when you said in the comments section, that's the one that made me laugh when I was like, yo, dude, you can't be yelling out woo unless you're hitting a figure 4 leg lock. And you're like, it might come. And I was like, I don't believe you. I don't believe you until I see it, sir. I was like, I don't think you have that in you. So we'll see.
I've been working on my leg locks. We'll see.
Good man. I'm just saying, trying to hit a leg lock on a rare day, I'll definitely hit a figure 4 on somebody during a real roll. And the amount of anger in their eyes is like, God damn it, I tapped out to a pro wrestling move. I was like, you sure did. And it was really funny. And I do have it on tape. So don't make me release it. So
Blackmail.
oh, dude, they hate it. And I always tell them, I'm like, I never put up any bad training moments. Like I even put up one of mine yesterday because I just thought it was funny. But I tell them, I'm like, if it's a pro wrestling move, I probably will ask you to put it up if I have permission to. But they definitely get a good laugh. All right, sir, we got one left. Let's go to this topic. I'm not sure. I don't think it's as bad as you think it is, but let's go to it. Okay.
Shock.
With a handful of athletes already announced for the Craig Jones Invitational, name 3 athletes who would shock you if they left ADCC for the CJI.
Ooh, that's tough because there's a lot. I mean, I've already been shocked by a couple. I gotta say, Mika. I'd be pretty shocked if he left. The Tackets already shocked me, really. I mean, coming off their performance at West Coast Trials, like to just turn around, and I totally understand. So I can't knock them. You said 3, right? So we did Mika. Let's see. I know Andy just got in, but I could also see maybe him getting an invite to CJI and really shaking shit up. So I would be shocked to see him get his invite and then turn around and go there. And then lastly, Yuri.
So, okay. Nice pick on the Yuri. Mostly because Craig putting up that poster and taking out Fionn was like, oh, are you going for the whole poster, dude? Because that would be very funny, but also I'm sure it would really piss people off.
Oh,
I have to say this. You're right about this, which was the Tackets getting pulled out. That to me is the one, like, if you're going to lead off with any names, leading off with the Tackets was one where I go, oh, oh, this is for real, because those boys are very entertaining. And they looked at it. And the nice part about them is there's not a malicious or unprofessional bone in their bodies. So they were the right choices to announce first, because guess what? Those boys aren't going to say, like, we won't do ADCC. And William recently went out and said, like, hey, yeah, I've got plenty of ADCCs left in me. But when is this going to happen? Maybe not again. And why wouldn't I come here? And you just think about it. His logic is airtight. So he was doing it in
Yeah.
a very professional way. The question is, will he be treated professionally as a result of this? Because I do wonder if there will be repercussions of deflecting.
Yeah. And that's kind of, I mean, that's what's at the top of mind for me is like, what kind of bridges are going to be burned here? Is this CG? Is this going to be a regular thing, or is this a one and done? Like, I mean, this is a lot of money. Is he going to be able to come up with this money every year or every 2 years? I hope so. That'd be great. But if not, what kind of bridges are burned? Again, the Tackets, I think, as far as being the first athletes announced, were like, it was the perfect athletes. Because, like you said, there's no malicious intent, and it's purely business, and it's purely your career and what's best for your career. And you'd be stupid not to take a shot at this kind of money. And yeah, I mean, I really hope that it doesn't burn any bridges, just because I hope that the guys on the ADCC side can
Can
understand
I just say this?
these are
I'm not going to do this. I'm not even going to entertain it. Don't fucking have a burn bridge. That's the easiest thing that you can do. You can be butthurt
yeah,
about it, but you're ruining the sport. If the mission statement is to make the sport better, then offer them something better. So we should really be in the realm of saying, you know what? I'm glad you're getting this opportunity. Good luck with that. But instead, you run this mafioso bullshit and you just harm people. It's not for the betterment of the sport. So don't
not
I'm so mad with people now being like, well, I better be on my P's and Q's. It's like, no, get the offer you deserve. And I don't
yeah,
want to fulfill this idea of, when we talk about really dumb, toxic things about our sport, this is one that seeps into the business side. And it's not like it's
yeah,
something that other things don't have as well. But baseball doesn't have like a cult like thing where most kids go into that we can have when you worry about those things as parents. Like for jiu-jitsu, there's a lot of cult aspects that if you don't have the right gym could be very bad or very not good results for the kids to kind of follow and look. So when you talk about those things, it's just like, this is another dumb cult thing that how dare anybody hold anybody responsible for saying like you went for a better opportunity. And
yeah.
that's it. That's where I want to go. So you do what you need to do. I'm just, the stance I'm taking for the next 3 months is fuck doing any harm to any of these people for collateral damage or for coming after them or their family's benefits or their ability to provide. No, full stop, done.
I agree. I agree. The value of the grappler is all that matters, and you should rise to the value of the grappler, whatever it is. And if you can't match whatever other tournament is bringing more value this year, do better next year or the 2 years after that. Like, just raise the bar. Don't hold it personally. Just, it's a business at this point, and that's what we all want. We want this to become a professional sport, and that takes taking grappler's value at the highest bid.
And I got to say this again, we'll get more into this tomorrow, but I've really thought about the idea of saying, you know, Mo's put a lot of work into this. He has. Okay, well, just be patient with him. Is that patience really going to get us more money? It hasn't gotten more money in 20 years. So as a result of it,
Yeah,
how much more patient do these people have to do as they age out of their ability to compete? So if you're telling me that, I think the impetus should be maybe make the adjustments because the prestige will always be there for ADCC. But I think you're going to find that people are going to start getting on the defense and start saying shit about Craig Jones's thing, where I don't think Craig Jones has said this is the most prestigious event in the world. He's just said, hey, it's an opportunity to make some money and be entertaining. And yes, it's out
yeah,
of spite and being petty, but it was the result of some things that were not favorable. And as a result of that, well, you did get people who are kind of prestigious, people who qualified, two of which. Then you have people who have gotten invites. Then you have a former champion doing it as well that you wouldn't consider for the women's side that you didn't know. You're like, there's no women's bracket. Oh shit, they got the champ to come on over here. Oh, so I think that makes a lot of those arguments kind of deplete. And now it just becomes how do you provide a great show? Because ADCC will pull up great talent to replace those people. And now those people get a shot too. So this
Yeah.
isn't a whole woe is me. This is, hey, there's more seats at the table. And if we want to talk about making the sport bigger, I argue having two events, even if they are supposed to cannibalize each other, I think it's an opportunity as long as you're not an idiot about how you go about it. So that's kind of
Yeah.
the MO I've taken on that. So anyway, I just wanted to make
Great.
sure. I'm like, you know what? Anytime somebody does this on my show now, I'm just gonna cut them off and be like, nope, fuck you, I'll take it. I got this. Because you can't
Oh
say it.
yeah.
I can. So fuck everybody. Treat your athletes right. And if your mission statement is best for the athletes, then follow it. So that's what I got. Cam, we have gone through the board. I know it's late, but I want to give you the opportunity to ask me any questions because I basically set you up for 5 different topics that you didn't know. So, is there a topic that is a hot topic or that's something that you think could possibly trip B up? And granted, I don't know if you just saw me respond to any of that ADCC versus Craig Jones invitational. It'll be very hard to make me sound more controversial than most people. So, do you have something that you want to see if you can get a response out of me for, sir?
I mean, I know your stance on the whole rat beef that we've talked about, so
Yes,
I won't go on that.
fair.
I know where you're at on the ADCC CJI, the latest and greatest on all the controversy that's in there. I don't know, I'll just keep it basic. When is the last time, if you have, taken your strength and conditioning um, to the point where you're like on a schedule or you're trying to take it seriously to accomplish some kind of goal?
Okay, so I started working with one of my buddies named Gabe, who I think the world of, and he was dope. But it was right around the pandemic because I wasn't getting my normal jujitsu training. And I saw that my blood pressure was going up. I saw that you have those inverse things when you're not taking care of yourself as well. Because for me, working out is jujitsu. And at the time, I wasn't competing, I wasn't doing anything. So I was just kind of like, hey, man, I think this is for health reasons. I need to dial in my diet. I need to get on a great strength and conditioning. And man, when I talk about people have to be patient with me, I am the worst student for this stuff. Because again, I've mentioned I hate lifting, I hate doing all this stuff. But Gabe is one of those guys who's my buddy who would ask me in the nicest way, like, hey, man, we're gonna do this right now. And I'd be like, what? And he goes, yeah, we're gonna do some battle ropes right now. And I'm like, I'm not Brock Lesnar. What the fuck do I need a battle rope for? And he would ask so nicely. I was like, Gabe, you're oh fuck, dude. Yeah, of course, I'll fucking do this. So I'm just literally there being like, this is dumb. And he's like, you're doing great. And I'm like, hate, hate every part of this. So we would do it like 2 or 3 times a week. And then the only thing is, like, during the pandemic, it was easy. But then once I started going back to production schedules, if I'm ever on like a game show or a TV set, is really hard to keep up. So trying to get that
Yeah.
schedule back was tough. But for the better part of about a year or two, I was really like dialed in with him at least 2 days a week, in addition to my like 5 days, at least 5, if not 6 days of training jujitsu. So it's like trying to put them in between on days where I would get really good. And honestly, I felt like my body was better looking and I was not injured as much there. So I really felt like that was a good time. Now that I started competing a little bit since then, and I'm getting way older than a lot of these guys, it has prompted a little bit of a like, yeah. And especially, like I said, when one of my buddies is like lifting weights and, like he'd get to mount, and normally I'm like, yeah, he's not gonna submit me. I got this shit. He's not gonna do anything. I'll get out of this. Like, no, now he's like that much stronger that I go, I can't break this grip. Oh no, this
Yeah.
is bad. Oh, this is real bad. Like, as smart as I can be on getting crafty to get out of stuff, I was like, oh yeah, no, he's now to the point where it adds to his technical skill. And I was like, oh shit. So yeah, man, I want to say for about 3.5 years ago, probably for about a good year and a half, I was on a good one, at least, if not 3 times a week, but at least twice a week schedule. And then I want to say
Okay.
about a year and a half ago, we had a passing in the family, and I was kind of like, all right, dude, I can't even try to schedule shit. Like, I got to take care of all this stuff. So after that, I was kind of like, I'll call you if I'm going to come back to it. And it's mostly just been jujitsu since. So That's probably the one thing that I did. But dude, he's the best. I loved working with him. I think the world of him. He was so great with me. But it has crossed my mind a little bit. So yeah, I'm just basically a robot with this stuff. You just tell me what to do. I'll complain and grumble, but I'll do it.
Yeah, I hear you. That's how I mean. I just tell me what to do, I'll do it. I don't want to have to think. I don't want to have to put any plan or anything. Like boom,
And the
boom, boom. Oh,
Well, and the
no
reason why I
problem.
had to ask for help with my buddy when I was giving him the stuff, I was like, "Hey, talk to your guy and give me something." And they did at first, but the reason why I was asking is I was like, "Dude, everything I look up for people who are past 40, which I am, you're like, I don't know what to trust. Like when they're telling you like do 100 sit-ups or something, you're like, I don't think that's smart. Like I think once
Yeah,
you get
right.
to a certain age, I think it's probably going to do like I get the idea of doing it when you're 20 or 30-ish, but I think it has
Mhm.
longer term and I don't know that science, so I have to ask real people who know shit to do the actual work for study or who are more familiar with it. So when I started doing that and I was like, yeah, I need somebody who knows more than I do on that. Um, that's where I wanted
Well,
to
like
dial that in.
a quick plug for my strength and conditioning coach, something that we've started doing and it's kind of helped. And I think it helps be like, oh, it's lifting's not for everyone, whatever. Everybody's not the same. Your percent to max might be different. But we've started our program based off RIR, which are reps in reserve. So he'll put like a 2 RIR. So do a weight where you think you can do the amount of reps that are told, but the weight at whatever you think you could do 2 more reps at that weight. So that's the weight you're going to do the set at. And then so you base it off of like, I could have done this rep, like not as many reps as possible, but leaving 2 reps in the tank and going off of whatever weight that might be. And I think that's helped. It's, I don't want to get into too much because I know we're getting into the late in the show, but the overtraining aspect and the old school like Iowa wrestling mentality of just go until you can't anymore. Like maybe it works for some people that are missing part of their brain, but for most people, I think there needs to be some kind of balance and you need the recovery, you need the work and all this and that, and training as many reps as possible every time you're lifting is not beneficial. So training smart and knowing at this weight I could have done 2 more reps, but I could do 10, but I'm going to stop at 8 and I'm going to do 3 sets of that. That helps you grow and also keep from getting hurt or injured.
Yeah, and I mean that's the biggest part of it is for me is just make sure I want to stay on the mats forever. So that's my whole mo. So yeah, I mean like dude, I don't give a shit how much I'm lifting. It doesn't have to be heavy. I'm not trying to win any of this sort of shit. I just want it to be to the point where my muscles get a workout where it goes. If we do these kind of movements, it doesn't feel like a jerk. It doesn't feel like a shock. It's just kind of like making sure that you're strengthening it so that it does know some resistance, and mostly so that the rubber band still feels like it has tension but doesn't break. Because I feel
Yeah.
like if the rubber band is just very stiff, then it'll break easier. So with my muscles, I want that elasticity where I go like I've worked out the right things so that my body feels like, when you have a hard roll, you're like, well, we heard a pop, but I don't feel anything. So that's just an old pop. And they're like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, I don't feel any badness. It's just pops aren't good in most cases, but it means that at the very least, you're doing the right things that make sure your body isn't just going to mush. So yeah, I mean, dude, I'm always receptive to it. So that's why when your guy was putting that, I was like, okay, maybe we'll do a little program here. We'll see. Because I was giving my boy another chance to be like, you bringing me another program, and I haven't heard a word since. So I'm like, okay, maybe we
Hey,
will outsource this.
jump on board, brother.
Well, I'm not gonna look like some people here, but I'll definitely look a little bit better, which is really all the mo that we're going for. But I can tell you this, Cam, you've been such a warm, great presence. I love your sense of humor. I'm glad that you're one of the people I've considered we've kept as a friend since PGF, and I know there's going to be continued success for you. So you keep doing your thing, man. I want to give you an opportunity to go ahead and plug whatever you want to plug. So I'm going to put the camera on you. Feel free to give a shout out to sponsors, teammates who helped you through PGF or whatever competitions you got coming up in the future. The floor is all yours, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, man, I gotta thank my coach Sean Stootman at Ascend Jiu Jitsu underneath Tom DeBlas. So big shout out to Tom as well. Very fortunate to be a part of my affiliation, and I love the gym that I'm at. I love all my training partners. I've got a very very tough room. These guys might not be in the spotlight yet, but there's a lot of guys that are be coming out of nowhere. Blue, purple, brown, black belts that I train with that are very dangerous, and they help me be who I am. So I love my gym. I'm very thankful for my teammates and my coaches. Epic Roll, my main sponsor. I know I mentioned their rash guards earlier and how they make you look more jacked, and they do. They have a lot of cool designs, a lot of different stuff on their website. They're teamed up with Zoltan, Five Finger Death Punch, we were talking about earlier. So definitely check out Epic Roll. Use my code CAM20 at checkout. Two Minds, another one of my sponsors. They are I was best dressed at the draft, right? We talked about that.
Yes, we did.
Mainly due to my sponsor, Two Minds. They help me in a lot of different ways, one of which being staying the freshest. So Two Minds, thank you. Peak Performance, which is my recovery sponsor. There's massage and recovery. We mentioned the balance of training hard and also feeling good, and they make sure that when I'm banging it out in the training room, I'm also getting the recovery necessary to come back and do it again just as hard and harder. And again, a seam at Nova Barbell for keeping my suit of armor when I step out there and compete. I've got a hell of a team. My wife, my kids. I obviously have to thank them because they support me. They drive me to want to do more and be great. All my family and my friends. I want to make everybody proud. That's what I'm out here to do. I'm trying to make this to become a professional athlete and to not just make it as a professional, but leave my mark on the sport. And I think that I have the support to make that a reality. So thank you to all those who support me. I really appreciate it. And thank you for having me on here and giving me a chance to show my personality and to have a little bit of fun.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, like I said, I just love the fact that I went up to you. I was wasting no time roasting John Combs, and you had a good sense of humor to know, like, oh, I know him, dude. Like, I can do this with him. And at the same time, I was just like, hey, man, this is the best introduction there is to me. Like, if you don't like this guy, it's fine. But like, I promise you, if you see the way that John and I have known each other for years, or the way that I've gotten along with so many of these guys or these athletes, I just thought, all right, well, he's cool. He's laughing. We're good. And then from there, just hitting it back and forth. And I was just like, yeah, you know what? Cam's a good guy. I like what he does. And I want to see you continue to do big things. And when you do, you'll definitely have a spot here. So you're definitely Grappling Hour family. I'm going to say bye to you off air. I'm going to close this real quick. But my thanks to you,
Thank you.
Cam. Thanks for staying up late with us, man.
Absolutely, dude. Thank you so much for having me. I'd be happy to come back anytime.
You'll be coming back. I mean, you'll probably win something, then we got to do this all over again. Then I got to give you like credit or something. I don't know, but we'll see. But I'll talk to you in just a second, sir. All right, you guys, that's going to do it for us. I've already plugged all my stuff. While you went to the restroom, I plugged all the stuff. So you know what it is. Patreon, Grappling Hour. RafEsparza.com, merch. If you want to go on over and continue to support us, Apple, Spotify, all of those, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all of them at Grappling Hour. Appreciate you guys for staying up with us. Tomorrow we return at 2 p.m. Pacific for another installment of the bullpen. And if you thought I was spicy tonight, just wait until I refute some arguments tomorrow about ADCC and the Craig Jones Invitational, because Daddy's got a lot of issues here and he's working through them. So I just tell you this, David Letterman said it best when he was watching NBC have their debacle with Jay Leno and Conan. By the way, was working for Jay at that time. But David Letterman was like, I'm just entertained by this. And same. I'm just enjoying this. However, I also know it's good opportunities for the athletes. So if you just want to go ahead and do that, enjoy it tomorrow. And we've got a lot of new interviews coming up. Ladies and gents, that's going to do it for us here at Running the Gauntlet. It's been a great day for grappling.